Hi everyone, Elsie Jensen here. Tonight we are going to make teriyaki salmon with Spam fried rice and some snap peas. So we're going to start out with making our base for our Spam fried rice. I know Spam might sound really gross and disgusting and daunting. I had never had it until COVID. And during COVID I got these like snack boxes from different like regions and countries, and we had one from Hawaii which had a recipe for Spam fried rice, and I made it and it turned out to be like a family favorite ever since then. So don't knock it until you try it. I would never eat Spam straight up, but it actually is really good. But it's our key ingredient for our fried rice. So I'm going to start by dicing it into small pieces. So I'm going to just slice it all the way through, and then we're just going to make it into some smaller diced chunks, kind of like how diced ham looks when you get it from the store. And we'll saute this up with some olive oil. But this is going to be a salty, savory part of the Spam fried rice that really just takes it to the next level. It's like, I guess I should say, the poor man version of pork belly fried rice, but it is pretty delicious. So we're just using 1 can of Spam fried rice, or Spam for our fried rice. So I'm going to turn on my big pot here. This is kind of like a mix between a sauce pot and a frying pan, but I like it because it has a high edge and it's really big, which is good for our family. I'm going to put in some olive oil. And we're gonna start sauteing up our Spam first, then we'll add in some onions and carrots and broccoli. So again, this is just 1 can of Spam that we diced up. It's a weird ingredient, I know, but it makes the fried rice delicious. And next, let's do our onion. There's a little piece of We're gonna chop it up, and I'm gonna dice up my onion fairly small too. Think about when you have fried rice, about the size of your onions when you eat your fried rice. So I'm gonna do a small dice on my onion. And we will add it to our pan in just a second. But we're gonna first want our Spam to crisp up nicely. So again, I'm doing a nice small dice on my onions here, because I'm gonna want them to just kind of crisp up nice, but not be overpowering in our fried rice. Think about when you have fried rice at a restaurant, most of the vegetables are just diced up really finely. So I'm gonna just do a simple, small dice like this. So it's just gonna be little small pieces. I'm gonna go through a couple more times just to make them nice and small. I'm gonna get out some tongs so I can stir this, and I'm just gonna spread them all out so they can start crisping up on each side, because you're gonna want a good crisp on your Spam. That's gonna give it a nice salty crust. Perfect. And I'm gonna prep my carrots now. I've just got 3 big carrots. You could use baby carrots if you wanted, and we're gonna actually dice them up fairly small. But since I'm using whole carrots here, I'm gonna give them a quick peel, because that outer skin of the carrot does not taste as nice as it is when it is peeled. So I'm gonna give it a quick peel all the way through. Again, you could use baby carrots that have already been washed and peeled. For those of you who don't know, baby carrots aren't actually little baby carrots. They're big carrots that have just been shaved down into easy to eat pieces that we have convinced ourselves are baby carrots. And get those out here. And I'm going to chop off my edges of each one of these. I'm going to move this over. Perfect. And chop off my tips on both sides, because they're just, sometimes they can have a more earthy flavor. And I'm just going to cut these big pieces into fourths, and then I'm going to chop all the way down so that they're in nice bite-sized pieces that won't overpower our rice. This one I can just cut in half because it's a skinny one. But you just, when you're chopping up your vegetables for your fried rice, just really think about when you've eaten fried rice before, you don't have anything that's so big or overpowering. And I'll chop this one in fourth. And it will also help it cook up faster as well. Smaller pieces cook up faster than bigger ones. Perfect. And sometimes I'm making this fried rice without peas because my husband absolutely detests peas. I think they're lovely. The traditional for Hawaiian fried rice, which is the Spam, also uses baby peas in it. So you could always throw those in there. I think they add a nice, lovely flavor to it. But my husband hates them. Here we go, good chop through here. And since these are large pieces, I'm also gonna chop them into fourths and chop them up. Perfect. And I hear them sizzling, so I'm gonna give it a good stir. And we see we've already starting to get some of our stick in and stir, which is what we want. We want some nice crust on it. Beautiful. Perfect. Turn it down just a pinch. And we can start prepping some green onions. This is gonna add a splash of green. We're also gonna add some chopped up broccoli, but I find the green onions just add a nice little flavor to the fried rice as well. I'm gonna cut off the very tips of these because they can be a bit more chewy and aren't quite as nice in the fried rice. And I'm just gonna do a really fine chop down. And I'm kind of, for those of you who are new to chopping, I'm kind of doing like I'm just rocking my knife up and down, and I'm slowly moving it as I feed my green onions in. And I'm just gonna use up there, but I'm not gonna use the very bottom, the bulbous stalks of the green onions. Let's give this a quick stir, and I can see I've already got a nice crust on some of my vegetables, which is perfect, which is what we want. I'm gonna scrape my onions, my carrots, and my green onions in and let them cook up. Perfect. And then of course I'm gonna give it a good stir so that I've got my Spam really cooking all the way around with it. And I might add a splash more of oil just to the very middle of my pan, since I've added a lot more vegetables and I don't want it to stick. I try not to add too much oil in the beginning and just add a little bit more as I go. That way I don't add over the amount that we need. And while that's sauteing up, I'm gonna add in about a teaspoon of minced garlic. You could use fresh garlic if you wanted. So about a teaspoon. And that's just gonna give a nice garlic flavor. I'm also gonna use a bit of garlic salt in my recipe as well. And I give a good stir. Beautiful. Perfect. Now, while these are sauteing up, I'm going to prep our salmon. We're gonna do teriyaki salmon. So I'm gonna prep that real quick over here. So I have 5 salmon fillets out here. Sometimes I do this with skirt steak, and I do or flank steak, and I'll do teriyaki steak on the grill. But tonight we're doing salmon. So I'm gonna spray each one with a little bit of olive oil. That will help it get a nice crust in the oven on the top. And then I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit of garlic salt over each one. Beautiful. Just a little, not a lot. You want it just to be seasoned, but not overly salty. And then I'm using some Japanese barbecue sauce. This is the original, and I'll also use this to season our rice. If you've never had it before, it's really delicious. It's like a sweet soy sauce. If you think about like that eel sauce you get at a restaurant or whatnot on your food, that's what it is. I'm just gonna give it a little drizzle now. We'll drizzle a little bit more after they're done cooking. Just a little seasoning in here. And then these are gonna go in my oven, which I have on the air fryer setting at 425, and they're gonna cook. I'm gonna pop those in about a minute. Let me give this a good stir. Perfect. Cooking up nicely. Fish cooks really fast, so I'm waiting to pop those in the oven because they're only gonna need about 5 or so minutes to cook. And now I'm gonna chop up some broccoli that I'm gonna throw in my my stir fry as well. I always think of like when you go for hibachi and you know how you get all your sauteed vegetables up? So I do that, but I add my broccoli, I saute them up, and then I'll add it to my rice so it's just one cohesive dish. So I'm just gonna take the florets of 1 crown of broccoli. You don't want the stalk part of this because it will just be too tough. So I'm gonna discard that. And then we're just gonna do a quick kind of chop through so that the pieces aren't too large, because you don't want them to be too big or they won't soften up nicely.
Yeah, question. How were the pretzels the other night?
Oh, excellent. They are like my kids' favorite, and we never have leftovers of them. Sometimes I make a double batch of them, which makes like 32 pretzels, and even those are gone within a day. And the one thing that's nice about them is I love to, if we do have extras, I'll cut them in half and I'll pop them in the toaster, and I'll make a sandwich with them, and they're absolutely delicious. So I'm gonna add in my minced up or chopped up broccoli for us. Pop those in there. And we're gonna give it a good stir. Perfect. I have a water over here boiling. That's going to be, I'm going to flash my snap peas in that and just do a quick thing, because snap peas, you just don't want to cook them. So you pop them in boiling water for like 2 minutes until they turn a really vibrant green, and then you pop them out and they'll still give you that firm but tender snap to them. There we go. Stir this up, and I'm going to add a little bit of garlic salt to it, because you really want to make sure your vegetables are seasoned. So a little garlic salt, and I'm going to add a little bit of my Japanese soy barbecue sauce, which is really just like a sweet, thicker soy sauce. So just got to open it up. There we go. And I'm going to give it a good squeeze, and these will really give them that nice teriyaki flavor. This is a great meal, like when my kids are wanting like Chinese food or Japanese food. This is a good, hits the right spot, and it's easy to make and quick to make. It's something I can get done on a weeknight when we have a lot of sports, so that's really nice. Perfect. Let those saute up for just a second. I'm spreading them out so that they crisp up nicely together. I'm gonna turn up the heat a little bit. I'm gonna get our rice, have our rice. I find if I use this frozen rice, but you can make rice the day before if you're having another dish and use old rice. You wanna use day-old rice, or you can do frozen rice, because fresh rice is it gets too mushy and it just doesn't turn out right. So I actually just use the sticky rice.
You got a question? Do you ever eat out?
Yes, we do. I actually am eating out this Sunday. It's my birthday on Monday, only turning 37. So we're gonna go to a hibachi steakhouse. But we do eat out about once or twice a month. But again, it's when you have a family of 7, it is quite expensive to eat out. And there's very few restaurants that everyone in my family likes. Hibachi is one of them. But outside of that, somebody's always unhappy about the choice. You can't please everybody. And with a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, eating out can be a nightmare sometimes. So we also avoid it under that.
Got 2 comments. First, someone said happy early birthday.
Oh, thank you.
And then someone asked if you ever make lo mein.
I have made lo mein a couple of times, but Not everybody in my family likes it, and so they all like the fried rice, and we do it sometimes. But I could probably venture out and make it for you guys sometime soon. With those, the trick is to make sure you buy the right noodles. You can actually buy lo mein noodles in the store in the Asian section. You got to use the right noodles for it, otherwise it's not as good.
And you got another question: do you ever get sick of making big meals? And it's like, well, it's been
As
30
all
years.
I've ever known. I come from a family, so I actually have 9 older siblings. My mom had 7, so there's our close knit of that, and I'm the youngest of that 7. And then I have 3 older half brothers. But growing up, we just always cooking for a large family. So.
And you took over cooking dinner at 13.
I did. I took over cooking dinner. It was one of the chores that you could pick up, and that's what I got paid for. Was to cook dinner for our family, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was the best chore because I got to pick what was for dinner each night, and it really wasn't that bad. Better than trash. Right now we're gonna saute up some eggs in here real quick. So what I do when I'm frying, so I don't have to use a different pan, is I just push all of my ingredients over, and I'm gonna crack a bunch of eggs right here, and we'll saute them up. But I'm gonna first, before I do that, I'm gonna pop our salmon right here that we put in there. We prepped them with some, we spray down a little olive oil, garlic salt, and a little bit of that Japanese teriyaki sauce. And we'll add more of that when we're done. But I'm gonna pop it in my oven on the air fryer setting at 425. And that will just cook in a kind of a high heat. Fish cooks really fast. And I find if a nice high heat will give you a nice crispy edge or crust on it. Okay, so I'm gonna I'm gonna turn my skillet down and pop in some butter. And I'm gonna really move it around. I've got some of the teriyaki soy sauce sticking there, which will add a nice flavor once it crisps up with the butter. So make sure I melt my butter all over so my eggs don't stick too much. This isn't a non-stick skillet, so eggs will stick more than a non-stick one.
Any allergies in the house?
Thankfully, no. We don't really have any allergies, true allergies. Sometimes we try to avoid like dairy sometimes. My son sometimes, if he has too much cheese, he can get upset stomachs from it. But for the most part, no real allergies here. Just people who like to believe they have allergies against vegetables and whatnot.
You got a comment, they like the contrast of the cabinets, light and dark.
Yes, so up a year ago, we had to replace our kitchen because we had a burst pipe through it, and there was mold, so we had to tear everything out. I had an all-white kitchen before, but I could not keep my lowers clean. They were just always dirty. So when I was doing this, I said, I want to have a dark color on the bottom that is going to hide grubby little fingerprints, any of the like food droppings that you get to that, happens during the day. And so I went with this. It's actually like a stained wood, but it's a slate stained wood. And I absolutely love it. And apparently they're more durable than just a paint one. But for me, it's functionality than beauty, because I was always scrubbing our white ones, and I would scrub them so hard that I would wash off the paint, and it was just a disaster. 2
comments. One is that's like $50, and I was just like, oh, you got no idea what we go through with 7 people.
Oh yeah, I actually scored eggs today. I've not been able to find eggs, and when I took my 2 daughters to soccer training tonight, I dropped them off and I ran to Target and they had eggs, and I bought 4 18-packs of eggs.
And then people coming in late want to know what's for dinner.
We are making teriyaki salmon with Spam fried rice. So right now I'm cooking up the eggs for our Spam fried rice. I sauteed up Spam. I know it's crazy, but don't knock it until you try it. With carrots, onions, broccoli, some minced garlic, and a little bit of Japanese soy sauce or barbecue sauce. And now I'm sauteing up the eggs, which will mix together, and then I'll throw in my frozen sticky rice. So this is a meal that is quick.
Got a question, like asking if I work. I do consult work. I was undercover detective for over 12 years, and now I do security consultation stuff. So we both get to work from home now. So
Yeah, no, I actually have my doctorate from Vanderbilt in education and leadership and policy. I have too many degrees to count. I spend a lot of money on degrees. But when I was pregnant with my fourth kid, I had a really bad accident at work that we almost lost our baby, and that made me reflect, like, I want to be home and take care of it. Family is what's mattered. I was just doing, like, pushing, the work and trying to get ahead and go there. And I just, since then, last, 3.5 years ago, I took a pause, and I've been focusing on my family more, and it's been such a blessing. I've got to see a different part of my family life that I didn't see before, and I've really been enjoying it.
Yeah, Scott, I did. I got some stories, but probably not best for a cooking show.
Yeah. Okay, so I've got my eggs mostly congealed up. So what I'm going to do for the last part is I'm going to mix everything together, and then they'll mix it around.
That's a good question. What's your favorite meal to cook?
Ooh, my favorite meal to cook. Oh, that one's a tricky one. I do love to make homemade ravioli, where I make everything from scratch, but that's because I really love ravioli. That's one I make, but that one's it takes a while. I like doing more adventurous cooking, not necessarily get a meal out for my family every day. So whenever I have a chance to do something more fun or exciting or a new recipe, I really love that. Okay, I'm gonna pour in my sticky rice.
And you got a follow-up question. Are the kids picky eaters?
It comes and it goes. My younger ones actually eat everything. My oldest one is now over her picky stage and she's eating everything. My oldest son always ate everything. My pickiest eaters are my husband and my middle daughter. And she's a picky eater, but in a weird way. She has some of her favorite foods are really weird foods. Like, she'll love salmon, and she loves, just weird stuff. Like, she'll eat raw, fresh lemons and limes. I'm mixing everything up and letting it steam.
You got some comments that's a lot of rice, but it will be gone.
It will be gone. Remember, I'm feeding 7 people here, so this is going to be the main dish with some salmon.
I got a question for me. What am I picky on? I'm a meat and potatoes guy, so I call it rabbit food, but basically veggies. But I like some veggies.
I'm going to come over here while this is steaming or cooking. I'm going to take a quick peek on my salmon. I don't want it to overcook. Perfect. It still needs a little bit more. You can see it's starting to bubble in right there, so I'm going to cook it a little bit on. This one was frozen salmon. I normally buy fresh salmon, but I had a pack of frozen salmon, so I was like, I got to use it. So I normally do fresh, but the frozen is what we had tonight. Okay.
Oh, everybody eats this. This is everybody's favorite meal.
This one, especially my 1-year-old loves the Spam fried rice. Okay, so I have my stirring it in and steaming up, and then I like to put in the middle. I'm going to put a little bit of butter in because I feel like the butter just adds a little crispness up for the rice. You don't need too much of it. And then this is what makes the rice delicious and tastes like hibachi rice. So I'm just going to squeeze some around.
No, on this one I actually eat all these veggies. I think it's because of the barbecue sauce. I don't know, but it's pretty good. And I like carrots, and I don't mind broccoli, but peas are a no-go.
Yes.
Green beans are a no-go.
So I'm going to let that cook and warm up. I'm going to pop in. These are my sugar snap peas. And what we do is these cook really fast. You just pop them in boiling water. And you let them cook for about 2 minutes until they turn like a really vibrant green. And that's when you know they're done. And then you pop them out.
You got question, what's the sauce?
It's Japanese barbecue sauce. You can find it pretty much in every grocery store, like Publix, Target, all of them have it.
And how long have you been doing this? Content creating.
Oh, not very long, like a month or so. Everybody's been asking, my friends, like, oh, you need to teach me how to cook, or you show me something. And I just decided to take the leap and try it, and so far, people have been very positive about it. We give it a good stir and a cook, and now we have over here, we have our sugar snap peas that we have blanching is essentially the technique that we're using there. We are just boiling them in hot water to blanch them. That will make them tender and soft, and then we'll just put a little bit of butter and salt with them, but they pair well.
Got another question. What type of rice? So you just want to go over the meal again?
Yes. So this is, I'm making Spam fried rice, and it looks brown now because that's the Japanese barbecue sauce in it. But essentially I sauteed up, chopped up a can of Spam, sauteed it up in some oil, added onions, carrots, and green onions, and sauteed those together for a few minutes and added in some chopped broccoli, sauteed, then added garlic salt and some Japanese barbecue sauce, sauteed, threw in some eggs, scrambled them real quick, mixed it all together, and then I added in 2 boxes of frozen sticky rice. I said you could use regular rice at home. Make sure it's just a day old. Fresh rice that you cook right then is not very good. And now we're gonna go check on our salmon, which should be done. Nice. We have a teriyaki salmon here we pretty much did a little olive oil coat on it, put some garlic salt and some teriyaki sauce. And then I always finish it off with some more, but I like to cook it with a little bit on it because that is what's gonna give it some extra flavor down. But you give a nice, this is what like they put on in the restaurants at the thing, that gives it all the good flavor. And this is not like soy sauce. It's not super salty like soy sauce. It's actually more mellow and sweet. Okay. We are almost getting to the end here, guys. I'm just gonna have a quick taste to see if I need to add any more seasonings to my Spam fried rice. And since this is for my family, I'm just gonna taste off the spatula. Perfect, it doesn't need anything else. And look, if you look at them, I was telling you how they were gonna turn a nice vibrant green. That tells me they are all done. So, a colander right here that we use. That's it. I'm just going to drain them, flip them in, and then I'll just put a little bit of butter and salt on them. Delicious. And sometimes we will do either sugar snap peas or we'll do edamame, which you can steam. My kids love edamame. And I'm just gonna add a little bit of butter in here. Not too much, just enough to keep the salt to stick on it. Give it a good stir. And then I'm gonna sprinkle with some regular salt. I'm like Salt Bae. These are really lovely if you've never had them. They're not like a green bean at all. They're just like tender and delicious.
Got a question. What's the second thing you said? I think they're talking in reference to the edamame, which are just soybeans.
Oh yes, those are soybean that they come in little pods and you pop them out and you eat the insides. Those are a typical Japanese side you can get when you get sushi or hibachi. So I like to kind of pair this with foods that are like mine. But we have finished, so I will plate this up for you guys. I'll grab a fork. So what we do is we'll do this with some nice green sugar snap peas. And when I'm taking, these were skin on. I'm actually using a fish spatula. I like to go on, when there's skin on, I go underneath and I try to peel off that skin at the very bottom like that. And I put it on there because nobody likes the skin. But that is our dinner. Spam fried rice with sugar snap peas and teriyaki salmon. Thanks for joining us here tonight. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I try to do live cooking shows every night or at lunchtime, just show you what we're eating, how to make things. I like to take a really slow process of teaching the basics and the fundamentals so that you guys know how to cook it yourself and do it yourself. Thanks again for joining us.